listen to during, like the production of all of these projects?
So the beginning of the project, I'll tell you one of
Walking
Walking inspired most of the samples there because we used to listen to music for like, I used to work for like 10 hours a day and we're listening to music the whole 10 hours, different kind of grungy indie music that you would not hear on the radio or anywhere. So this kind of music just inspired a lot of things, like the flows, the lyrics, the melodies and everything like that, the productions too.
What's the name of those people? Color Match.
Yeah, Color Match.
Yes. I listen to a lot of Color Match too in the
they're like an African band.
Yeah, they're like an African band.
Yeah.
I'm literally just searching them up right now. But yeah, I listen to a lot of like Color Match especially earlier in the year. I was just listening to their sounds. They're very like raw, like African sound, African instruments.
Is it newer stuff or older stuff?
Older stuff.
They're older
very
stuff.
old.
They're like old stuff, like old songs. Like even a lot of people probably don't even know them.
So is that a thing that's been like a common thread? Like if we're looking to older versus newer music and sort of like how that shaped the project? Like is older music a big part of that? And
100%.
Elements like the old 90s stuff that we listen to. Older music also in terms of like the older stuff, like the old stuff that we've done before. Like early days of BTM from like the drill to the rapping scenes and like all those like things kind of like inspire this aspect of like sound that we have right now.
I mean, tell me about that because I've seen some of it, but I feel like this project is the beginning of like a lot, especially with the like having BTM as like it's been a thing, but I feel like this is like the first big like boom. This is like all you're getting a massive project at once.
Yeah.
So like I don't know what was the beginning like.
BTM came together 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago, man. But by that time it was different.
It was a different scene. We had a whole different crew, and like. But now I feel like now it kind of worked its way.
It just came natural.
Now it's more natural. Then it was more like, okay, we've got all of this bunch of boys that do music and we're trying to make something happen.
Yeah.
But now it's just more like, it's not about the people, it's about the song now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not about like, oh, we've got like a group of friends that can do music. It's more like, okay, we've got this specific sound that we're trying to like clean up. So anybody that can contribute to that is kind of like welcome. You know what I mean? And then like, we just kind of like found that like, okay, only 3 people is needed for this project right now. That's me, Abdul, and Ari that like did most of the production and stuff like that, right? And then like we also had one feature, Soleil.
Yeah, just one
of the tracks on like the project. So like technically only 4 people needed to like bring out this idea and like make it like concrete. So I think that's the journey for BTM up until like this moment now.
And to be honest, the good thing about this project is like, you know, if people are like making projects, they'll be like, oh, there's a plan for this, like this. They'll be like, they'll drop, oh, we're gonna do this at this time. We didn't like plan anything. We're just like going with the flow. Like there was one time we went to the studio like every other weekend for like 3 months. Yeah. That we didn't have like, oh, this is what we're gonna do this week, or this is what we're gonna do next week. We just had like the inspiration. We just went to the studio and just like lead and just.
With the process of making this project, it was more like. That's why I like to, when people ask me like, what does Goblino mean? I like to say like it's just like the appreciation for the finer things in life, because like the process of making all of these projects, like a lot of things is happening, a lot of changes is happening in everybody's lives, everybody that's involved. So like appreciating that and then taking that and then interpreting that into like music, into like sound, was basically like the driving force. So like we're not necessarily thinking about like, yo, like I have to come up with like a very crazy ass dope concept for this.
Yeah.
But we're more like, okay, I've experienced this in the past 2 weeks, I'm just gonna go into the studio and do something, you know? And then like that kind of like just like subconsciously just interprets itself to all of the sounds.
100%, and just links them up together.
And then everything just kind of links itself.
So are you pulling more from current feeling, or would you say that like elements and feeling that's coming from previous work and like stuff that you guys have already done, like had come back, like influenced the new stuff at all, or is it mostly like a newer feeling?
I feel like they're all like it's kind of like a little bit of both. But in terms of like the inspiration, at least for me though, in terms of like the inspiration, I kind of like drew the inspiration from like how I could interpret all of those feelings right at that moment that I'm making.